Hey y'all, my name's Megan. I'm a homeschool mom of two, and welcome to Bold School. You know what? I don't know what we need to address more real quick, my voice or this hair. Okay? Yes, as you can tell by the sound of my voice, I have been a little bit under the weather, but I am fully on the mend. And about the hair, I thought it would be a good idea to use like Velcro rollers. Y'all ever use those, where you roll the hair up and you blow dry it? And now it's huge. Now it's like as big as the state of Texas, Wait, do you guys think it's like getting like emo vibes? I was never like an emo gal myself. I think that I wore way too much, I don't know, Hello Kitty products for that. Oh, or is that emo? Was I? No, I wasn't emo. Couldn't do eyeliner. Point being though, this is giving me strong emo vibes. I should get like an itty bitty bow and like put it right here, I think that's coming back, right? Please no. In today's video, I'm going to update y'all on how our homeschool went in the month of February. I'm going to give you kind of like my general vibes that I got from this month, and then we're going to get into the specifics of what worked, yay, and what didn't. So let's get into it. So my general impressions for the month of February. It's a little hard for me to reflect on this month with a really clear head because so much of it has just been shaded by seasonal depression. Yeah. So my Midwest folks, y'all know what I'm talking about, but for everybody else, like gather around and get yourself some learning. Seasonal depression is real. Now that we're entering into spring in Indiana, it's brought this whole new set of challenges, which is really that we go from having on some days 60-degree weather to 20-degree weather, and there's just mud everywhere because the snow starts melting, and right as it starts to absorb into the ground, everything freezes again, and then it melts again, and then it's just this vicious cycle. It's really not the temperatures that get me down, it's more the lack of sunlight. We can actually go for several days with no sunlight and just like this low dusk gray. I think you can see through the window. We're having plenty of beautiful light today, but that isn't always the case in winter. And really that lack of sunlight, after a while, it really builds up to just a tremendous amount of fatigue. You always feel like you're tired, or, it's either feels really early morning or really like dusk all the time. And honestly, it just gets to you after a while. So in reflecting on this month, I really did have to go back through my phone. I had to go back through my planner and look at what we did to really assess the situation from a more, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, like clear-headed perspective. And you know what? Like, honest to goodness, what I found was pretty much way more good than bad. So, hey, for perspective. But let's really walk away from talking about the blues and get into what worked for us this month. Okay, the number one thing that worked for us this month was actually getting outside. And I know I just went on this long diatribe about how horrible the weather has been, but choosing to go outside anyways, especially when the sun was shining and even when it wasn't, made a huge difference for my mental health, and I'm just going to assume that for my children's as well. Now, we are participating in the 1,000 Hours Outside program this year. I'll have that linked down below. And I definitely have seen the benefits of just whether it was 2 inches of snow on the ground or 2 feet, getting ourselves out there. We've always been outdoorsy. We've always been like go for the hike, go mushroom hunting, all of that jazz. But this year was the first year that we really dug into getting outside regardless of climate. If you follow me on Instagram, then you will know, or you will have seen some of our little adventures that we've taken out in the snow this month. But if you haven't seen those, you can go check them out. I just want to tell you that it took time for us to get to the place where my kiddos could experience and enjoy being outside in below freezing temperatures. You know, it wasn't just the first time we went traipsing around in the snow that my 3-year-old was like, yeah, I want to be out here for an hour. This is so fun. No, absolutely not. We had to build up our stamina to get to that place. And so I really want to encourage you, if you're kind of like concerned or nervous about going outdoors, regardless of the temperature, but especially when you're maybe experiencing some more extreme temperature, whether that's heat or whether that's like extreme cold temps, I really want to encourage you to, begin that process. Start local, start small. Do not set up expectations for an hour-long hike or expedition into the woods. You also need to be okay with and get comfortable with complaints, because in the beginning there will be those complaints, right? But some tips of things that you can really do to set yourself up for success. Like I said, start local, start small, but also make sure that you have appropriate gear, especially when you're entering into maybe some more extreme weather conditions. And so for us, we do a slip-on pair of waterproof pants for both of the kiddos. I will link our favorites down below. And those are things that we will do in the summer if they're really thin, or even in the winter if the kids have on several layers, they can just pull on those waterproof pants. Of course, we have snow suits that are waterproof as well. That is going to increase the amount of time you can get those kids outside with zero complaint. And I'm also going to tell you, especially for snow, get the waterproof gloves. Okay, I'm just like, I'm not gonna do that again. The waterproof gloves have made a huge difference for us this year, because little hands, they can't help themselves just dig into that snow. So if you are taking out just like a normal knit glove, it's not going to happen. Complaints are going to happen way sooner, way faster. So give yourself time and patience and make sure you have appropriate gear. The next thing that really continues to go really well for us this year has been our reading lessons with Grandma that we do over FaceTime. Now, we actually just finished our vowel sounds this week, so we get to move on to really getting kind of nitty-gritty about some words that don't follow the rules and looking at some other things as well. I have seen just leaps and bounds of growth with my 7-year-old this month in particular. And gosh, you guys, like that is just such a satisfying feeling when all of the struggle, all the work just like comes together, and all of a sudden you realize that they're reading to you and the fluidity of their speech is just so improved, right? That they aren't stumbling over every word, that they're reading and enjoying what they're reading. Like, gosh, what a magical, magical moment. And I will say that in addition to Grandma's reading lessons, the thing that has really brought us that leap, that really tremendous growth has been honestly continuous practice on a daily basis, like having that discipline. But for us, that's not a lot. So on days that we don't have a reading lesson with Grandma, I have 3 of these little boxes, and one has long vowel sounds, one has short vowel sounds, and then one's like combo sounds. So we will practice some of these cards every day. You can see that they're divided by the sounds, and these are just flashcards. So for example, if we're looking at long A, 8, right? We will practice some of those, and then we do a reader book. So we were doing the Bob Books sight words for kindergarten and first grade. We finished those, and then I just went to the thrift store and actually found a bunch of these I can read my first reading books. This one happens to be a biscuit book, right? But they have all kinds of little books like this. And y'all, when you pick up these little readers at the thrift store, it's honestly, it doesn't matter if you just read it once or if it gets written in or destroyed by the toddler, because it was a quarter, okay? So I actually been picking up a lot of these in various levels. And if your library doesn't have really high finds like mine, then you might just be able to run up there and grab some as well. So every day to get that progress, we've been doing some flashcard review. and then doing some reading. And what really helps with that as well is if she is given 5 to 10 minutes to independently look over it, read it to me, and then later that day she either reads it to her dad or calls grandma on FaceTime and reads it to her as well. That's really going to help with that like cadence of reading, right? Being able to practice it and building that ear. So reading lessons, 10 out of 10 for the month of February. Okay, the next thing that has gone really, really well for us this month has actually been our science. And not because of the curriculum that I thought we were going to be using, which we might circle back around to eventually, but another thrift store find. I actually got several of the old school Magic School Bus books. And what we've been doing is pulling one of those every week and then reading it, watching the show, which they're all on Netflix, looking up additional YouTube videos, doing science experiments, and just really digging into each of the books, like their subject. So this month we've done space and the human body. And we were so invested in that it really did take us like the whole month. And then this one we're going to be doing this week, the dinosaurs. Now there is like some outdated info that you have to update, at least in the books. But after that, it still holds up really, really well. My daughter loves it. I love it. And it's been really helpful. Also with that, just as like some suggestions, and these are also thrift store finds, you guys. Like, I hit the thrift store jackpot earlier this month. But I found these, which are Color and Learn books. And this one's Science and Space. And then this one is the Human Body. And it has just coloring pages that are like directly associated with things that we might be talking about. So it just has the lungs with some quick facts and then a coloring sheet. We were using different pages out of this one when we discussed the human body. And usually that was like something that Winnie was doing while I was reading the book or we were watching the TV shows. If you have Pinna, the podcast service, which we do, I'll link that down below. We love it. They also have audiobook versions of the books, so you can re-listen to that material maybe after you've read it or you're doing another coloring assignment or whatever you're doing, reinforce those concepts. And in addition to that, I also got this cool book at the thrift store that is, and it was for Usborne 100 science experiment books. This has just been great. We've picked out little experiments that really go along with what we've been talking about, and they've been really super fun. Like when we did the human body, we did an experiment of mapping our tongues where we used like lemon juice and old coffee, to see like, oh, is it true that some parts of your tongue taste this way and some parts taste things better over here? Like it was just really, really, really fun. So we've really been enjoying science, kind of like taking off the leash and letting us just kind of explore, has been so, so much fun. And I really feel like more rewarding. I don't know if rewarding is the word. It's like setting the foundation for what I think elementary science should be, which is really fostering that like wonder and sense of like desire for exploration. Does that make any sense? Also, if like tie-ins to the human body, honestly, just like endless unit studies. And the reason that it took us like a good 2 weeks is because then I also found this at the thrift store, which is the Care and Keeping of You. This is like the infamous American Girl body book, but it's for younger girls. So like not kiddos who are in puberty, but kiddos who are approaching puberty. I still think there's a lot of problematic language being used in this book. Like the most beautiful girl is a confident girl, a little bit of it reads like a 17 magazine article from the early 2000s. But overall, the information has been really awesome at kind of reinforcing some personal hygiene practices that for some reason when mom says brush your teeth every day, it's just like, yeah, whatever, mom. But when this book says it, it's like, oh, my book told me I have to brush my teeth every day. And I'm over here like, but you know what? I'm the one who got the book and like, So maybe that's just like some homeschool parenting magic. Okay, the next thing that's been working for us, because you guys, like, spoiler alert, I'm telling you, lots of things worked for us this month, was looking at our Dimensions Math first grade 1B. Again, just making some tremendous progress. And a lot of that too is because of game schooling. I've been like pairing math games to whatever it is that we're talking about in our curriculum. And that's really helped to reinforce those concepts. And Winnie's like mental math is just like, mind-blowing. I really feel, again, that this math curriculum is kind of treating math more like, you know, we're building that like love of math concepts, that really firm foundation that I just know is going to be super helpful in the future. So math, 10 out of 10. Phrase you're going to hear frequently in this video. All right. So earlier this month, I definitely made a video about us switching our history curriculum. So for inquiring minds who want to know, we have switched to History Quest from Pandia Press. And since making that video, we finished Chapter 1, which was on Islamic innovation. And then this past week, we have been doing an assignment from the curriculum itself that is looking at Tales from the Arabian Nights, 1001 Stories. So I'll link this book down below, but this is from National Geographic, and it just has several of the stories from 1001 Nights, and it has really, really cool illustrations. So we've just been picking one or two of those stories to read every day. And of course, Winnie's picking every story that has to do with a horse because that's just her life right now. And one of the things before, I'm not going to do a full review of this curriculum until we've really been using it for a while, but I do want to say, like, kind of a bonus shout out is that when you get to the part of the curriculum where it's like, hey, why don't you just spend a week reading these stories? It's not like, just go get yourself this book. The curriculum itself gave you like 3 suggestions of books to pick up and really broke it down on like, hey, if your kiddo needs lots and lots of illustrations, this is the one you should get. If your kid's really like way better with a more detailed story, can handle complex narratives, then this is the one you should get. Like, I felt like those book reviews really allowed me to make the right decision for my kiddo. So when we invested in this book, it wasn't like a waste of time or money. We pretty much knew we were going to enjoy it, and we have. So be looking probably maybe next month for a full review of History Quest from Pandia Press, because we are currently really enjoying it. All right, so February is Black History Month, and if you want to know more in detail about what we've done for Black History Month, you can go check out our video on Black History, which I'll put up here. But our read aloud was the What is the Civil Rights Movement? And last month we did Who was Martin Luther King? And so this month we were doing What is the Civil Rights Movement? And this really helped to reinforce some concepts. I do want to point out, although we really liked this book, one of the issues that I had with it was the way that it discussed Rosa Parks, really kind of portrayed the narrative that she was just a tired seamstress who didn't want to get up, which although there may be elements of that narrative that is true, she was actually a really active member in the civil rights movement, and certainly her decision to not give up her seat was part of a larger plan. She didn't just accidentally start the civil rights movement. We want to make sure that we're giving her agency, and I'm not really sure that the authors of this text accomplished that, but I've really enjoyed everything else about this book. So I'm going to give this one like 7 out of 10. Yeah, that seems fair. 7 out of 10. Okay, not to just keep taking like victory laps around how well this month has gone, but the last thing I want to mention, at least for the older girl, that worked really, really well this month is that my husband has started reading her chapter books at night when she goes to bed. That's been awesome for me because I've kind of taken the bedtime responsibilities just like off my plate, but it's also been an opportunity for him to share the moments of his childhood that he might feel nostalgic about. And this past month, they actually got all the way through reading the classic Holes. And I think we're going to be watching the movie probably, tonight. I'm filming this on a Sunday, so we'll probably make this like a Sunday family movie night. We didn't tell her that it was a movie, so I think that'll be exciting for her. But they just really, really enjoyed this. Not only does that give the parent who isn't the primary educator an opportunity to be a part of the conversation, but I think it's also important because it is like bringing different gender perspectives to Winnie's education. I mean, she is raised by a strong woman, all right, taught almost exclusively by a strong woman, but I think it's nice for her to have that alternate gendered perspective just to give her like a nice, well-rounded education. 10 out of 10. Okay, 2 quick things that I want to share that have really worked well this month for my littlest girl who's 3. Number 1, we have started potty training very gently, very slowly. And as of right now, I am happy to report that it's going pretty well. I mean, when I wrote the script for this video or the outline for this video, it was going really well. There was a particularly explosive incident that happened right before filming this that maybe makes me question putting that title on it, but I will say it's going really well, and I'm looking forward to not having to change diapers anymore. In addition, I want to say thank you guys so much for all of your wonderful curriculum suggestions for preschoolers. I think our plan for right now is to kind of just stay in a holding pattern of doing our own thing until I really have the time and honestly energy to look into all of those curriculums and make a decision. We've just been doing some more structured activities with her, and that's been going really well. Clearly, she was craving something, and isn't that the beauty of homeschool? We were able to pivot really quickly and give her what she needed. Okay, this video at this point, I don't know, might be a million years long, but let's go ahead and talk about the things that did not work for us in the month of February. The first thing that really did not work for us was doing a structured curriculum. I had a structured curriculum printed, planned, ready to go, and that was Core Knowledge, which luckily is free. I still really support that curriculum. I think it's awesome, well organized, all of that jazz. But for us, we just needed, like I said, we needed to play. And that's what kind of doing this kind of loosey-goosey, like magic school bus, his science has done for us. And I think that's what we're going to continue to do probably for the remainder of the year. And then maybe readdress over the summer any gaps that I think we need to address. The other thing that did not work well for us this month was the DART program, specifically this book, Wish Tree by Catherine Applegate. We just really struggled to get into it, and honestly, that's probably because we have been so focused on the Heartwood Hotel series, which was brought to us by the DART program as well. So my 7-year-old, she honestly just had no interest in moving on to a different book. She just wanted to know, like, what was up with Mona? What's going on at the Heartwood? So we've actually given ourselves permission to kind of let go of those curriculum expectations and dive into these books a little bit more. But I will tell you, we will be returning to this Wish Tree series because also I've already prepped all of the materials, like the spelling and the sentences and the writing. So we will be circling back to that, which actually brings me like kind of to my wrap up, my deep thoughts wrap up idea at the end of this video, which is that I'm toying with the idea of year-round school. And what I mean by that is, like, honestly, just not stopping, allowing our unschooling or interests to expand, but not taking like a big summer break, continuing on with the curriculums that we need to finish, and just seeing where that takes us through June, July, etc., etc. Do you guys do that? Is anybody like school year round, or are we all pretty much like to the typical calendar? I mean, I know as homeschoolers we'll always say that thing like, life is learning. But I mean, like, legitimately, do any of you guys just like keep a year-round calendar? Are we taking big breaks? Maybe that's just wishful thinking as we come to the end of winter that I'm like, oh, what are we gonna do for summer? All right, you guys, that's all I have for you. So you know what? Is it perfect? No, baby, then it was never going to be. But is it done for today and for the month of February? It is, y'all. So until next time, bye.